Purpose After Sports is proudly sponsored by The Factory, Bloomington's go-to spot for athletes, former athletes, and anyone staying active. From personalized training programs to their CrossFit-style group fitness classes, they are here to support you and help you keep moving and feeling your best. So make sure to visit thefactorybn.com to learn more. Big thanks to The Factory for partnering with Purpose After Sports. Welcome to Purpose After Sports, where we interview athletes to share their post-sport journeys and explore how they are reinventing what it means to compete. Today, we have former three-sport athlete Bailey Coffman. She had in her career at Millikan University 97 wins, 31 losses, 3 NCAA tournament appearances. She was the 6th Millikan all-time scorer, almost 1,500 career points, and 4-time CCIW academic all-conference. So just to brag on her a little bit, a great athlete on and off the court. We are very happy to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Of course. So you have a unique story, not only being a three-sport athlete, but getting the chance to be coached by your mom growing up. Talk to us a little bit about that, the craziness, the fun of it all.
Yeah, being a coach's kid has always been fun. I think I took it for granted a little bit when I was younger. But I grew up in the gym since I was a baby. My mom's been coaching for 30 years at Central. So my dad would bring me into the gym. I'd sit on the bleachers, watch the game. And then as I got older, I got to be the ball girl and get to interact with the high school girls. And that always became a dream of mine, to be on that team and play for her. Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about deciding on those three sports and what it was like balancing all those growing up.
Yeah. So the good thing about my parents is they never tried to push me towards one or the other. Both of them played college basketball, so it would have been easy for them to kind of push me towards basketball. But it was kind of whatever season I was in, that was what I wanted to be doing. I wanted to focus on the sport I was in at the time, and they always respected that and pushed me to do that as well. So it was just really cool to be able to play multiple sports and my parents, be supporting me in what I'm in, even if my mom is the basketball coach.
Yeah. So even though you played softball, volleyball, basketball all through high school, correct?
Yes.
How did you decide what you wanted to continue playing in college? Did you have some influence from your parents, or you made the decision on your own?
I made the decision on my own.
Okay.
It was always... volleyball was kind of just an extra thing to throw in there. I loved volleyball, but it wasn't ever something I considered for college.
Okay.
I played travel softball, a little bit of AAU basketball, and it kind of just depended what I was in. Like my first 2 years of high school, I was like, I'm going to play softball. That's what I'm going to play in college.
Yeah.
Thought about basketball a little bit, and then as I got into my junior and senior year, I was like, okay, basketball's it.
Yeah.
And then I kept saying I would never play two sports in college. I would never do that. And then that's what I ended up doing. So
how did you decide on Millikan, which is not too far from home? Mm-hmm. Was it because you could maybe play two sports, or you just like the fit?
Yeah, it was definitely because I could play two sports there.
Okay.
I looked throughout the CCIW. So I visited a couple schools, Augie, North Central, Wesleyan.
Okay.
Talked to a couple different coaches, but it really came down to Millikan and Wesleyan at the time.
Okay.
But Millikan, I definitely had the opportunity to play two sports. Mm-hmm. Whereas Wesleyan, it was a little bit up in the air. So I decided on Millikan. It was close to home, but also it wasn't in Bloomington and just staying where I'm comfortable. And I really liked the coaches there for both sports. Same with Wesleyan. I have so much respect for Coach Smith. Yeah. But it just worked out that I could play both there.
Okay. Now talk to me about your Millikan journey. What was that like, balancing two sports? Because if you know anything about basketball and softball, especially in college, there's still overlap. So how do you make that work, especially through, 3 years you played both?
Yes. Yeah. So 3 years I played basketball and softball. when I first got there, and I was like looking at my schedule, I was like, this is terrifying. Because I thought coming in that there would be more girls doing both, but as soon as I got there, the girls that were doing basketball and softball, they quit playing softball. And they just moved to basketball. So I was like, I'm doing this on my own now.
Yeah.
Whereas I thought I would have a little bit of help figuring out where to be when there was overlap. And so as basketball season started, it was strictly basketball.
Okay.
So I would be in basketball. Softball preseason would start, and I would pitch every week, every 2 weeks while I was playing basketball. And then as soon as basketball ended, it was strictly softball.
Okay.
So the coaches were really good about that, making sure I was doing what I wanted to do while getting work in for both.
Mm-hmm. Now, relationships with both teams, like completely different? Did you feel like you were part of both teams, even though you had to split time sometime?
I did, yeah. I was roommates my freshman year with a softball player.
Okay.
And then my sophomore and junior year, there were 4 of us.
Okay.
So 2 basketball players, 2 softball players.
Nice. Okay.
And then obviously I did basketball and softball. But so I had those relationships, and that kind of made it easier to know, what's going on with one team when I'm with one, what's going on with the other team. And both sets of girls, very different, but I got along with both. I mean, it was great to have 2 different groups to look forward to being around.
So talk to me about making the decision of just focusing on basketball, because your softball team had a good career as well there. So,
so my junior year for basketball, we made it to the Sweet 16.
Okay.
So softball had already started. They were 10 games in. They were in Florida playing, and I was still with the basketball team. And I hadn't done as much pitching that year because our basketball team was doing so well.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got there, didn't get as much time playing. We had 2 very good pitchers. So, there's not much you can do when you can't put the time in. You're not going to complain about how much playing time you're getting. And I understood that going in, that there was a chance I wouldn't pitch as much.
Yeah.
But I knew the next year that our basketball team was still going to be pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew it would kind of be the same situation. And it wasn't fair to the softball team, and it wasn't fair to me to not be there enough.
Right, right.
And it was a really hard decision because I did enjoy the girls, I did enjoy the coaches, and I still had a relationship, seeing them around campus after and everything. And I think they understood why I made the decision I did. But I was just like, it's time for me to focus on basketball because we were chasing a national championship. We were hoping to get back where we were the year before. Mm-hmm. So it just felt like the right decision for me.
Can we talk about your injury a little bit?
Yes.
And what happened with that?
Yes. So my senior year, had a really good preseason. We went and played at Eastern Illinois for our exhibition game.
Okay.
So this was right before we were supposed to have our first games. We went to Eastern, had a really good game. Our whole team, we were looking really good. We only lost by 2 points. Okay. The lead changed 26 times that game.
Oh my gosh.
So they were bigger than us, stronger than us.
Yeah.
I had a really good game, had 21 points. I was excited. I'm like, this is my year.
Yeah.
During that game, I had got hit in the jaw. So it was kind of bugging me, like when chewing the next day, and I'm like, we got practice. Just get through practice.
Yeah, yeah.
We're in a no contact drill. It's a full court drill, and we had a collision. I had a collision with one of our players.
Okay.
The situation doesn't matter, but we had a collision. We're not supposed to be in the same spot, and I broke my jaw. Split it completely down the middle, fractured it on the side. At first, they thought that my teeth had shifted, and I was telling them something's really wrong. Yeah. So my dad actually works in Decatur. I'm like, you have to call my dad to come pick me up.
Yeah, yeah.
So he comes and picks me up, go to the hospital. They're like, yeah, your jaw is completely broken down the middle, and it's fractured on the side. You're going to have to go to Champaign and get surgery.
Oh, my gosh.
So I went to Champaign, got the surgery. I was wired shut for 5 weeks.
Oh, my gosh.
So liquids only. I tried a lot of things in the blender they're going to sound disgusting. Chipotle in the blender. Oh, I was eating with a syringe. Like, Yeesh. They even sent us home with a pair of scissors. And they're like, if you have to cut the wires because you throw up or you're choking, your parents have to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, my parents through all of that. Like watching your child go through that in itself is hard enough, but then to know you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So I lost 20 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, once I got my wires off, after 6 weeks, I was done with that, and I came back in January and played again. So it happened on November 4th. By January 1st, I was playing again, down 20 pounds, lost all my muscle. So it was very rough.
Bailey,
Yeah.
in January, you came back.
January.
Is there any type of like headgear that they give you, or you're just...
You can do nothing for the jaw with headgear. You can wear like for your teeth.
Yeah.
But it doesn't protect your jaw. And at that point, they're like, once your jaw is healed, it's as strong as it's going to be.
Okay.
So it's not like an ACL where you have to worry about re-tearing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's bone.
Yeah.
So once it's healed, it's healed. So I came back that first game. I took a couple charges. I could see my parents in the stand covering their eyes, and I was just happy to be back, because to sit and watch your team play while you're wired shut on the bench was rough. But
what was the pain like during that time? Did it get easier or no?
It did. You don't realize how much you get hit in the face until something happens. So like there'd be a couple times I'd get bumped in the jaw, and my muscles were still not where they were before.
Yeah.
So that was different. But it's really getting over the mental side of it that was tough for me.
Right.
Because every time you got hit, you're like, okay, am I okay?
Yes.
Is it broken again? But my surgeon was amazing. She made sure that I understood, it's not going to happen again.
Yeah.
So, then 2 months later in February, playing at Wesleyan against our rivals, get elbowed in the face, break my nose. So, all in my senior year, too.
The year, it was supposed to be just focused on basketball, and life was we have another thing coming.
Yes.
That is crazy. So what happened in that game? Just elbowed again, or what happened?
I was playing defense. I kind of had her stuck in the corner, and she ripped through with her elbow, hit me in the face. Ooh. I got a charge, and we won the game. But that was a huge mental thing for me, because I was like, I could quit right now.
Right.
I could be done. Never play again. I think I'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
But we were going to go, I knew we were going to go far that year, and I knew that my team also needed me. So I put on a mask, and I ended up playing the next game, and I played the rest of the season with a mask on.
Bailey, oh my gosh. You are a trooper. Because with your nose, it's they just do a brace for you, right? There's really not much.
Yeah, I had the option to get a surgery, but I would have had to sit out a couple games. And I'm like, it looks good enough.
You're fine.
I think it still looks kind of the same. So I never did anything with it. And I just wore the mask. And you really only have to wear it for 2 weeks.
Okay.
But I said, I'm finishing the year in this mask. I'm not taking it off, even because your nose heals really fast, I guess.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm wearing it the rest of the year.
So when you're going through, especially that second injury, and you're like, I could walk away, did you talk to somebody about this? Or you were just like, I know the team needs me, just working through it on your own?
So my coach, Coach Lett, Olivia Lett, she really pushed me in those times, because she's like, she just kept saying, you're going to regret it if you don't push through these things. And my dad was the same way. He's like, you're going to make a decision and you're going to stick with it. You're either going to be done, which he would have been fine with, or you're going to keep going and you're not going to complain about it.
Yes.
You can't be in between those things. So I was like, you know what? I'm going for it. So my dad's like, okay, I'm taking off work. We're going to your next game. And because he's like, I'm not going to send you there with a broken nose and something happened to me again.
Yeah.
So I made that decision. And from then on, I was like, okay, it's behind me. I'm fine. Plenty of people break their noses. That's the thing. A nose injury was not a big deal, but those stacked on each other was just a huge mental thing for me. Yeah,
almost back to back. And it's like, what is the universe trying to tell me? Is it something that I need to get past and push through, or is it time to walk away? So I'm glad that you stayed with it, and I'm sure your teammates did.
I am very glad I stuck with it.
So talk to me about, with your mom being a coach and the seasons overlapping in that, Was she able to still come to games and support? Or?
Yeah, she actually did not miss many games. Like our schedules worked out pretty well. Of course, there's a few games that would overlap on Saturdays and stuff like that.
Okay.
But she would make it to most games, and if not, she was watching online when she could. So, and I had the support from her assistant coach, Mindy, has been with her the whole time. They've been there the same amount of time. So she would come to games too and stuff like that. So, yeah, she made the best of it for sure.
Right. Now, what kind of coach or parent was she when you were in college? Was it a different side of you that she saw, or was she still hard on you, or?
She was not hard on me in college. She definitely was in high school, but she definitely took the role of being mom and getting to sit back and just watch me do my thing. Like,
awesome.
She knew Coach Lett is a pretty tough coach. So she's like, you get that pressure there. Like, I'm going to be mom. So I didn't have much pressure from my mom in college.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were in your senior year. Now, is this your 5th year that this is happening?
No. This is my senior year.
Senior year. So
yeah, 4th year.
Talk to me about deciding to do a 5th year and doing your master's with Millikan.
Yeah, so I was kind of going back and forth whether I wanted to play a 5th year, especially after everything that had happened.
Right.
I had gotten into ISU for sports management.
Oh, awesome.
For that master's. That was a 2-year program, so I was like, I could go do that and try to get a GA position doing something, or I could come back to Millikan and try to find a GA position and play. So I was kind of going back and forth, and then one of my professors called me in that there was a new GA spot for recreation on campus. So, like,
awesome.
I got to plan events like pickleball, kickball, like a movie night on the quad, like stuff like that. And I was really interested in event planning at the time. So I was like, this just got made and he chose me to do it.
Yeah.
So I felt like that just meant, I need to stay. And obviously I had those conversations with Coach Lett as well, and they still were going to have a really good team. And I was like, I'm going to regret not being a part of that again.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the main thing for me.
And then coming back, your 5th year, talk to me about the season, those final points. Is it registering that it's your last year, or you're just trying to soak in the moment?
Definitely just soak in the moment at that point. Started off the year really hot shooting, and then my body just slowly, dwindles at the end of the year. We still had a great year. My role I knew my role a lot better, and I felt like I had grown in my leadership throughout the years, and that was something that I really took pride in, was helping the younger kids who were coming in adapt to the program and the things that we do, and making sure our culture is the same. Like, that was something I really valued about Millikan, was that culture was really important. How we held ourselves accountable, how people saw us on campus, how we talked to staff and faculty at Millikan. Like, those things mattered to me, and that was something that I wanted to leave knowing that I did my best at.
Right. Okay. So how do you decide what you want to do after this year career-wise, and are you thinking that far ahead?
After, like, this year
The
now?
5th year.
Oh, the 5th year. Okay. So I had been looking at college athletics.
Okay.
I had a mentor, Paul Cabas. He works at ISU.
Okay.
We would talk monthly about college athletics, what opportunities there were. I knew I wanted to be around sports. I didn't know if it was high school sports, college sports, and it ended up being middle school sports, working at the IESA. And it's been a great experience. I just knew that I wanted to stay around, whether it was coaching, working with administrators, working with education, event planning, social media, those type of things.
Yeah.
And I landed in a good spot.
Okay. Now, with finding your job, did you go through any I miss basketball phase, or was it I'm going in straight into my career, like we're on the next journey already?
When I started in July, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to get a job.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go to the next phase of life. And then September rolls around, and all of my teammates are starting practices. Elise Knutson that I played with, she's taking her 5th year at ISU.
Oh, okay.
So very good player. Loved playing with her, great teammate. So I got to go watch her exhibition game, and they played Wesleyan.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, she's getting to play Wesleyan again, and I go to the game, I'm excited, and I leave, and I'm like feeling a little empty. I'm like, dang, I miss it more than I thought. And it took like watching my teammates playing to realize that.
Mm-hmm.
So I went through a little phase there, and I think that was right about when you reached out to me about talking. I was like, I don't know what the purpose after sports is yet. I'm like, I don't know. But then, I kind of watched my teammates and talked to them a little bit. I'm like, enjoy the moment, because as much as people say, you're going to miss it, you're going to miss it.
Yeah.
You are going to miss it so much, and you're not going to realize it till it's gone. I get that, but that's kind of where I was at that point.
No, I love that you bring up that story, because mine was very similar. It was like, you get out of college, straight into the workforce, like that's what you think it is, we're moving. And I avoided the sport for many, many months. But the first time I went around the sport again, it was the most gut-wrenching feeling. Like I'm just watching someone else play the sport that I love, and it's like there, but I'm at a totally different side of it. You know what I mean? And so that's when I was like, whoa, I'm not over this. I had put a Band-Aid on it, and I kind of did the same steps you did. I started talking to other former athletes and talking to, current teammates and things like that. That was like, okay, like what are we doing after this? You know what I mean? Like how do I get through this, and just start talking about it? So no, that's, can relate to that on so many levels. So do you still find time to be active? And then how do you find time to still have the sport in your life now?
Yeah, so I was working out at the factory for a while. Did that after I finished school all the way through October, but then I started coaching basketball with my mom as an assistant coach at Central Catholic. So time management was really hard with working out, because I was going to work, then I was coming to practice. So I feel like I took a little bit of a break for a month or so, and I'm kind of getting back into it, getting back into lifting after practice, if it's at Central, or walking in the mornings, just any ways to move my body.
Yeah.
You're so used to going, and making your mile time and all that fun stuff that comes with basketball, that I was like, can't wait to be done with it. And then I'm like, now I have to figure things out for myself, what I need to do. So, but yes, I'm getting back into a good routine. Feel good about it. I'm hitting my protein finally. I definitely didn't, Coach Lett would hate to hear me say this, but I did not prioritize protein when I was in college. I wish I did, and she knew that too, but I wish I knew some of the things I know now, but I feel good about it. So,
well, that's the beauty of it all too. Like, it can be scary to go through that stage and learn it, but then you learn so much about yourself and what works and what doesn't, and what you don't like and you do like. Because that time stuff in college, I was like, I'm ready to be done with that. But then I missed that competition side of that person that you're competing next to, where it's like, I know I was miserable, but like it was kind of fun in a weird way, you know what I mean? So no, I love that as well. Okay, and also, congratulations, you are getting married here. Then is it already this summer? This coming
August,
summer? This coming summer?
Yeah, thank you.
So talk to me about planning that through all of this as well. Have you had any help, or you're just like, just cruising through?
Yeah, so my mom's the one who's like on top of all the planning stuff. She's like, we got to do this, we got to do this. And I'm like, yep, okay. But I got engaged in March, so I was still finishing up my master's. That was right after basketball season ended, and it was kind of like a distraction from, okay, I'm done with basketball. I'm like, no, I'm moving on to the next thing. I'm ready for this next chapter of my life. So we've been doing that planning, and it's been good, because my maid of honor is still playing at Millikan. Oh, she's a senior. Okay. So I still get to stay, in with what's happening at Millikan, and she's helping me plan my wedding as well. Yeah. So it's really exciting. And then to also be able to have a lot of my teammates at my wedding and have that, everyone back together, it'll be a fun time. So I'm excited about that.
That'll be so fun. Like seeing everyone slowly start to grow up in different phases. It's so awesome. And your husband was a former athlete as well.
Yes, played baseball at Millikan.
Now, do you guys ever talk about, like, do you know how his journey has been through after sports or anything like that?
Yeah, so he played baseball for 4 years, and then he went into insurance for a little bit.
Okay.
And he was like, this just isn't it. He's a very active person. Then he tried real estate. He's like, this isn't the competitive, you know, he's a very competitive person. And now he's in firefighting. And that for him is like a different version of being competitive and being active. And he's gotten into working out again, and we kind of build off each other with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he kind of had that same phase where he's like, oh, I miss my teammates. There are certain things you don't miss, like the early wake ups and stuff like that. But you miss being around the same people. And we talk about that a lot. But we have a lot of the same friends from college that played baseball or played basketball. So we still see them. And so he still has that competitive nature. He went to, it's like a training camp for firefighting, and they have this, I don't even know what it's called, this test they do, and it's timed, and he's on the leaderboard, and he still talks about it. So just little stuff like that that you can find in life that's competitive is just fun for us.
Oh, 100%. Now, being back around the sport in your job and then also as a coach, is it a different feeling? Do you still ever get the feeling of you miss it, or you like kind of inspiring the youth and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely still miss it. When I first was going to practices with my mom, I was like, I don't know that I'm going to be able to do this. Because it's, first of all, from college to high school, it's really different.
Yeah.
You know, different personalities, different level of realizing what going full speed actually is, stuff like that. But as soon as games started and I'm sitting on the bench again, I was like, okay, I really do enjoy this.
Yeah.
You know, you're sitting on the sideline, and a couple times she looks at me, I'm like, put me in, put me in, put me in. Like, you still get that feeling. But the girls are great. It's been great to get to know them, you know, and they ask me questions. I feel like they trust me, and that makes me feel really good. So I do enjoy it.
Okay, good. Now, I don't know if this is just a weird thing for me, like when something happens on the court, do you get like a little adrenaline rush or thing?
I like my cuticles, I'm picking, I'm like nervous, I'm like, all these things are close games, like I'm just, and I want to, like, I don't know, it's just, you get that feeling you want to go in, but you can't, and I still get nervous during the games. Coaching's no different. You still have those same feelings, so that is exciting, but
No, 100%. I have gotten the chance now to like actually watch my sister on the outside of sports. Like, it's different when you're still kind of playing, but just like seeing those and getting that adrenaline rush, and like you feel like you're there again, but you're like, no, you were on the bench, you were in the bleachers. So I'm glad you experienced that too. So with being out of sports for a little bit now, is there things that you wish you would have known about life after sports, during sports, or are you kind of glad that you're going through it with a fresh eye?
Yeah, I would say one thing, like looking back on my sports career and stuff, you know, I had a lot of like performance anxiety, I would say at times, and not with like actually playing basketball. It was the stuff like the lifts, the running, the stuff that I feel like I wasn't as strong with. I was always confident with my skills as a basketball player, but those are the things that I knew I needed to get better at throughout my 5 years. But just realizing the anxiety comes with the things that you care about. And that was, I had that conversation my 5th year with Coach Lett. I was like, I'm starting to realize, like, I only have this anxiety because I care so much about doing it well. And that comes with anything in life, with your job, with coaching. Anything that you feel like that is because you care, and just taking that as motivation. I think there were times that I kind of let it dwindle me down, and I wish that I would have let it build me up in a different way as motivation. But I would say that's the big thing for me.
No, I love that. I think that's unique too, because there's so many forms of anxiety, and we get them for different reasons, right? And I was a communications major, and so a lot of people have fear of public speaking. But that was one thing that I learned as well, is if you change it into just, oh, I'm excited about it, like it's just nerves because I care, then it's like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, and you don't want to lose that, because as soon as you lose that anxiety or excitement about it, then that means you might not care about it as much.
Yeah.
So it's a great piece of advice. What form of advice or piece of advice would you give to any former athletes right now?
I would say just find something competitive in your life. It could be, you're competing for something in your job. You're competing, to call the right play as a coach. Like, those are the little things that kind of give me a piece of sports back that I really like. I'm still figuring it out. I still miss basketball. I still miss softball. I know you said earlier you didn't touch a ball for a long time.
Yeah.
I haven't pitched since I think our last game warming up.
Yeah.
Like, I loved it so much, and it just kind of hurts me to not be able to, do it competitively anymore. And basketball's a little bit different, because you can play some 1-on-1 or 3-on-3, but you can't pitch in a game like you used to. And it still hurts me. I give pitching lessons, so I've been doing that for a while to kind of stay in it. Yeah. So just little things like that. I would say find things that you're passionate about and turn it into a way that you can be competitive.
I love that. That's a great piece of, don't get me started on how long I had to stay away. And then when I came back to the sport, the first time I was so emotional, and I didn't understand why. And it was because I was coming to terms with how much, like we talked about, how much I actually missed it. And I was like, whoa, like it wasn't good to just avoid it in total, because that's not how you really get over something, right? Because it'll come back. So no, great piece of advice. Yeah. I still need to hear that, and I'm sure our audience does as well. So thank you very much for taking the time to come out here today.
Yes, thank you for having me. I love your brand. I love what you're doing. I love listening to your podcast, so I'm so excited to see where this goes for you too.
Little does the audience know, I've been trying to get her on for a couple months now. So
I'm here now. It took a while, but
long time coming. Great athlete. So thank you for this.
Yes, thank you.
If you like episodes like this and want to see more, be sure to subscribe and hit those notifications so you don't miss an episode. And we will be back next week. Thank you.